Hi again then guys, and welcome to another tune setup, of course, for one of the Super GT cars from the 1.29 update, this time moving on from the GTR yesterday to the NSX. And I know that some people have had some issues with this car. It can be a little bit slippery. It has some of the similar issues that certain NSXs had in the previous game, GT6, where yes, they're very fast, the stealth was always very popular, but the handling is nowhere near as beginner friendly or as forgiving as something like a GTR. However, the payoff is that it's a brilliant car, and you'll see how brilliant it can be in just a second in terms of lap. Now, just like the GTR yesterday, I wanted to show you what this can do without having any kind of power, weight or tyre advantage. So we've got hard tyres, as you can see, and the weight and power are completely stock. So if you do choose to increase the power and drop the weight, of course, you can potentially make it even quicker. Now, as far as traction control, as you can see, I've got it turned off as usual. That'll be down to each individual driver to choose. As far as the suspension, I've dropped the ride height to 60mm, so 10mm higher than the lowest. 4 for the frequency, front and back. 6 on anti-roll. Then as far as the dampers, we've got 56 on compression, 85 on the rebound, 1 degree of camber. You could go a bit higher for this car if you want to, especially once or as you're getting used to it, but you actually don't really need it. The diff in particular does a lot of the work for you. Neutral toe, as we often go for, and as far as the downforce, of course, just like the GTR, it's a cornering machine first and foremost, so that's as high as possible. Now, as I said, the thing about the NSX and also the Audi R8 LMS, which has a similar issue in Gran Turismo 6 in particular, is that the diff makes a world of difference. If you leave it stock, it's far more challenging. If you do what I've done here, I think it's significantly better. It almost completely eliminates oversteer. Now, of course, if you slam your foot to the floor, you can oversteer in most race cars, but if you use it correctly, it's far more docile, but also quicker than it is stock. So I would recommend the highest initial torque, then the lowest settings for both acceleration and braking. And again, just like with the GTR, I've left the gearbox stock because the power and weight are stock. So again, you could tune that if you want to, make them a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, especially if you do increase the power. But that's the essential idea. And just like yesterday, and like we'll do with the Lexus tomorrow as well, this is much more about the handling rather than the straight line speed. Because with cars like this, that's what it's all about. It's the cornering ability. So, speaking of cornering ability, and to show you how it compares to the GTR, let's take it out to Dragon Trail. Now, yesterday, of course, I was talking both in the review and the tune about how brilliant and how forgiving the GTR is, and that is absolutely true. However, the NSX is in the same competition. It can be just as successful, if not more so sometimes, in the real world, so of course the potential is there. The difference is the NSX just requires more control, more respect, and a different approach to its tuning. The GTR does the work for you, whereas with the NSX, you have to put in a bit more effort. However, when you do, it pays off, because as you'll see from my second lap here, and it could definitely go even quicker, especially with a different driver than myself, it's quicker than my GTR, at least quicker than the GTR lap that I did yesterday. So the raw potential is clearly there around the 133 or mid 133 section, or area, not section. So tons of potential. It's brilliant through corners, but you have to use it correctly. Now, in terms of driving style, what I'd recommend is, of course, brake in the usual way. You can slam on the brakes or ease onto them, whatever you prefer. But as far as going through the corner and exiting the corner, that is where the tricky part comes into play. Now, the diff tuning makes a world of difference, but I'd recommend embracing the concept of coasting, because you can coast through corners quicker in this car than many other race cars can under full throttle. So don't be worried about not accelerating all the time. Allow the car to coast, then ease very slowly onto the throttle, and gradually, lap after lap, you will really find that you get used to the car, and it will end up extremely fast. I would say definitely faster than with the stock settings. So I hope you have a ton of fun if you do use this tune, and that's it for this build overall. So of course, click here at the end to see all of my other tunes, including the GTR from yesterday, and if you're watching this in the future, the Lexus from tomorrow. And for now, as always, thanks for watching.